You are listening to the Unsoberly Sober Show. I'm your host, Magnify Maggie. This podcast will turn your perception of going sober upside down. We're going to be working from the inside out to get you that dream life. So make sure you stick around for the end of the episode where I'm going to walk you through our weekly positive pursuit exercise to begin rewiring that beautiful mind, baby. Hello, my free and powerful friends. Welcome back. We are here with Nicky again, and we're going to talk about something that's really helpful in your journey of becoming that complete whole-ass adult human, like we talked about last episode. Today's topic, I wouldn't say is necessarily all about alcohol, right?
No.
It's kind of more, not even kind of, it's about the mind. It's about our perception. It's about the things that we take personally, which could then, of course, be fuel to the fire of needing our coping mechanism. So you guys know every once in a while, I just got to not be talking about alcohol because what we talk about is how our mind starts to relate things and blah, blah, blah. So I don't want to be always talking about alcohol or sobriety here 24/7. Nicky's coming in today to talk about kind of one of these mental phenomenons, mental aspects of life that when we become aware of it, we can start to relax. We can start to love ourselves a little bit more. And we can start to really get to the bottom of our own self-image defects, our own limiting beliefs, and our own insecurities. So, okay, fill me in. What are we talking about today? As if I don't know.
Well, you're the person I come to when I've been doing a lot of like introspection in the last few years, really.
Yeah.
But the last few months, I've just been like really deep diving a lot of things that have been going on in my life that have remained consistent for so many years.
Yeah.
Also just feel like the world has been kind of heavy lately. I think the moon's doing something. I think Venus is out of line or whatever it is.
Something is happening. Mercury's in retrograde.
100%. Like something is going on in the world and whatever it is, it just feels heavy. I don't feel like doing certain things that I promised myself I was going to do. Like I just feel a little like ass backwards, basically.
Yeah.
And so you're the person I come to when I want to like really deep dive because you're the one that's like, yeah, let's go in. Let's talk about it. And I kind of had mentioned the other day, there was one day when we were on a walk and this walk really resonated with me because you brought up I called it the blue bush phenomenon, but I think you called it, was it the green bush?
The green bush phenomenon.
Yeah. And this one has really been like sinking in with me. And I feel like you explain it more eloquently than I do. So if you want to explain it for all of our listeners.
Yeah. Well, also, I did not invent this. This is a psychology principle, something that Gabor Maté talks about a lot. Before I talk about that, I just want to say also, I love our friendship because of these deep dives. I don't have a lot of friendships where I can sit and be like, how did that make you feel? And then all of a sudden learn about how things made me feel. So find yourself a bestie who you can have these deep talks with because these just fill our cups. Like every time we call each other and we're like, I just got to talk this out. Like you are a safe space for me. I love being a safe space for you to just like hash things out in our mind. And a lot of it almost always comes back to this green bush phenomenon.
And a lot of light bulb moments where you're like, oh, wow, I did not correlate those things. And now I'm really seeing things about myself that I'm like a little mind blown.
Right. Yeah. And it's just funny how much it almost always, it's difficult to see from your own perspective, but having an outsider say, hey,
have you
can
thought
you
about
sense
it this way?
that this is happening right now? And then you're like, okay, pulled yourself out of it. So without further ado, the green bush phenomenon. We've talked about this a little bit in previous episodes, but here's the gist is if I came up to you, Nicky, and I was just emphatic, you are a green bush. And I looked you up and down, did the head to toe, angry stare, what would your reaction be?
I'd be like, okay, boo, like, you all right? Something wrong? Are you drunk?
Yeah. How much have you been drinking? Right. I'm going to use one of my self-image things. If I came up and you had the same self-image things as I did, if I came up and I was like, you are so stupid, how would that make you react?
I would definitely question the question, but in my own brain, I'd be like, oh God, why am I stupid? What did I say? What did I do wrong? I would immediately start to internalize because you're saying something that's hitting on a mark that's obviously affecting me or hurting me or has hurt me in the past.
Exactly. And that, my friends, is the green bush phenomenon. If somebody came up to you and said something that just doesn't stick, you know that you're not a green bush. You know that you are not leafy. You're not a plant. You're not a piece of landscape. You know that for a fact. So when I say that to you, your perception is, am I okay?
Yeah.
Does she have all of her ducks in a row?
Right.
But if I were to come up to you and say something that you agree with about yourself, then it is hurtful. So here is the most masterful principle that will save you so much time, effort, unnecessary grief, self-loathing. Nobody else can make you feel sad, angry, upset, unless you yourself agree with them. Now, why is that?
Right. Eleanor Roosevelt via The Princess Diaries, I think she said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
Yeah.
It just one of those, it is so interesting how easily it is to slough off things that you have that have no, that don't resonate in your brain, don't feel in your body, but automatically, even if it's not intended, they say it that way, or it comes off as a side comment, or there's even just a little piece of you that might think that what they're saying might be true, and how quickly and deeply it sinks its teeth into you. It just is almost mind-blowing sometimes, and how long it can sit with you.
Yeah. How long you can be ruminating over it. Like there's things that somebody said to me in my 20s, in my late teens even, that I think about to this day and give me like chills. But that has nothing to do with them. It actually has to do with, why is there a piece of me that resonates with what they said? You brought that up, resonance. We cannot feel a certain way unless we are in harmony with it. So if somebody comes up intentionally or unintentionally, strikes a nerve with a belief in ourselves, that's because we're in harmony with the energy that they're putting out. And sometimes our mind will act in very mysterious ways to mold what they say into the feeling of being offended, the feeling of being attacked, and taking it personally.
That automatically we assume that whatever they said was intended with malice or intended to be hurtful, or just that, well, they said it, so it's got to be true. And now that has somehow weirdly become part of my identity. Almost like you start relating it to your own mantras, and you're like, well, they said something about my weight, so it must be true because I feel that already in my brain and in my body. Yeah.
But if you were super body confident, if you were at the point where you loved every pound, every inch of skin, and somebody came up to you and was like, this is obviously going to be something that's imagined, but intentionally malicious. You can actually be like impenetrable to their offense if they were to come up to you and be like, girl, you should not be wearing those pants. If you loved every ounce of yourself, the way you looked, you had so much self-love, then you would think, why does this person feel the need to spread negativity? Again, it's not internalized. It's not about me. It's about this person must have had a really hard day.
Right.
Like that's where my mind goes now. There are certain insecurities that I'm still working on that can be triggered by intentional, unintentional things. But for the most part, I've got a good grasp on them now. Yeah. And my first reaction is, that poor person.
Yeah.
Like especially if it was obviously intentional to be mean, hurtful, I think, God, they probably had a hard life. They probably have a hard life at home. For some reason, they've got hurt on the inside.
Yeah.
So they need to project that, and misery loves company. They're going to project their misery, their hurt, their anger onto somebody else.
Right. I'm still working on that aspect, because if someone says something to me, I'm like, what a bitch. Like, why was that? I'm still working on like feeling,
you know what?
my feelings for them,
I think what a bitch is probably a better reaction than, oh, they're right.
Right.
Put it on them. Put it on them.
For sure. Because it's what a bitch. And then it's, okay, well, but they said it.
Yeah.
So like, what's wrong with you? I am trying to work through that. I am trying to like find ways to give people a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
Must have a hard day. Maybe that's how they take out their frustrations. I don't know. I won't go too deep into this story, but I've mentioned before, years ago, I was out with friends on the strip, minding my own business, having a good time, and I walk by a table and I hear a dad say something to his kids about me, and it was a mean comment. And it really, really just, and I go back to the table, I try to hide it, I put my sunglasses down, my friends notice that I'm upset, I tell them eventually what happened, because I really didn't want to bring the mood down, because I didn't want to hurt anyone, I didn't want to affect anyone else, but it was like sitting really heavy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, the comment, especially that he was making it to his kids, and that's what he was the way to seem that he was relating to his kids by making fun of people and whatever it was. And I didn't do certain things for a year after that because of the
Do you mind, for listeners, do you mind opening up and telling? Is that okay?
Yes. Okay. It's embarrassing because it still hurts for some reason. It's one of those things. So
it's only because you haven't learned how to say that dude. I mean, you have.
Yes.
You said it's sad that that's how he entertains his kids and bonds with them.
Right.
But at some point, it's going to stop hurting when you put it all on him.
All on him, right.
But I think for listeners, there's context that I think is important to hear.
Okay. So walked by the table, and I had my hair up in like a high bun sitting on top of my head. And that guy was like, oh, and look at this sumo wrestler. And I was like, I was literally just walking by a table. And
I didn't do anything wrong.
I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't say anything to anybody.
Here I am just existing.
Right. And so, had the whole interaction. My friends actually went up to him after the fact, because I clearly left, because I was like, I feel ridiculous. I'm also, in my, I think, late 20s at the time. I didn't think that this was kind of a thing that still happened, that people were just kind of shitty for no reason.
Publicly bullying
people in front of their kids. My friends went up to him, said something to him. He was like, well, it's just, I wasn't saying anything about her. I had made fun of someone else earlier. It's just how me and my kids laughed together. And my friend was basically like, you should feel ashamed of yourself if that's how you relate to your children. Like, if that's how you guys communicate with each other, because that really hurt her feelings. And that's not fair. You ruined her day for no reason. And for a year after that, like, I didn't wear my hair in a high bun. Like, I didn't do certain things, and it stuck with me. Yeah. This person who probably didn't even remember after that day, has no bearing on my life. I couldn't even point him out in a crowd. I don't know him at all, but he has somehow affected my life, because what he said triggered something so deep in me that it changed things that I did in my everyday life. Just because he decided to blurt some asinine shit out of his mouth to make his kids laugh. Yeah. And so it just was one of those things where, like, if I didn't feel a certain type of way about myself, that comment, I probably wouldn't even think, I wouldn't be talking about it now for sure. Yeah. But it's something that still sometimes I'll be doing something and I'll feel a particular type of way in a day, and it pops back up in my brain. I'm sure everyone has had those moments where maybe you were bullied as a kid, or someone said something nasty about you, or someone said something mean about you. Someone pointed out a thing in your life or about you physically, or whatever it is, that probably still like weirdly pops up in like 2 a.m. mind spiraling or whatever the case is, So it was one of those things that really hurt. And it's so weird to think about why these random things kind of stick in your head for no reason, and why they still take up so much space. Yeah. But also, FYI, for anyone out there, please don't say shit about people when you're a full-ass grown adult. And it really does hurt people's feelings. And if you're listening, that guy, you're an asshole.
Get that off of your chest, girl. Yes.
Yeah, totally about you. That one wasn't about me. But the way that I've allowed it to glom on to part of my personality, absolutely something that I have had to work through and I'm still obviously working through.
Yeah.
So.
Do you mind if we work through a little bit here together?
Please.
Because I want to kind of show the listeners a little bit of like how I work with clients in this, but also how I've learned to structure this deep dive from Gabor Maté Compassion Inquiries. When he would be talking about these things with an audience member, with a patient, he would say, okay, describe the situation. So we've got the scenario. You're in a hotel, casino, somewhere in Vegas on the Strip, largely tourist population, people coming in, being wild, not truly acting themselves, probably themselves turned up
a notch or two.
You in your natural habitat, just going out, having this comment. Now, we've talked about what hurt your feelings, but the question, the powerful question that over time can really help for you is, this person offended you, they are mean, but what are other possible interpretations of what happened?
I mean, he could have literally just been talking about my hair and the way that it was up. He could have been, him and his kids could have not been getting along, and that was literally the only way he could get a response out of them. I mean, I try to think of other scenarios. I still don't see it as easy. So that's pretty much the two that I've gotten in my head that I've tried to be like, well, maybe.
What if he was blackout drunk, had no inhibitions, and just said something about your hair, like you said? What if his way of making connection is by making fun of people? And when I think about that, I think this is probably a grown man who is a little scared boy on the inside.
That was probably bullied as a kid himself, or that's the way his parents, his parents like connected with him, or, the way that he was taught that's, or maybe, I know a lot of people self-deprecating. People make other people laugh at their own expense. And then it oftentimes can turn to other people because they felt that that's okay. Yeah. Because, I do it to myself.
So how we do one thing is how we do everything.
Absolutely.
So if I make fun of myself, obviously I don't mean anything real by it. So when I make fun of other people, I don't mean anything real by it.
Right.
Maybe this person, maybe his kids really didn't like him. Maybe he was a shitty father. Okay, this is getting a little judgmental, but just play along here. Maybe he's a really crappy father, and his kids are sitting at the table like, I don't even want to be here. Why did my dad bring me to Vegas? And his
valid question, children.
Right. I think it all the time. Unless you're a circus. I don't know what you're doing here.
Right.
What if his only way, he's like fighting for redemption with them. He's like, maybe if I act like a 13-year-old boy, they'll love me.
Right.
So he's fighting for attachment, and he doesn't even know who authentically he is.
Right.
So that's like 6 other interpretations.
Right.
If listeners could call in right now, I'm sure we could get 100 different interpretations.
Right.
But what's the interpretation we settle with?
The one of ourselves.
The one that's the most hurtful, and the one that requires that person to have thought about us enough to want to offend us.
Right. And thought about us the way we think of us, which they don't know. I could have had no issues with the way I looked, my size, the way my hair was, whatever it was. But that's me assuming that he knew that, and that he knew what was going to hit me so harshly and hurt me so deeply, because that's got to be what he wanted to do. It couldn't be anything about him or his situation.
And that's kind of like what your mind is
arguing. What my mind is telling. Yeah, what my mind is telling me, for sure.
But it's not. It doesn't have to be, right? And I think that freedom comes from giving yourself the ability to believe in the other interpretations, and basically putting it on that person, like I mentioned at the beginning, putting it on that person for just not being very emotionally intelligent or socially intelligent.
Right.
I mean, spaces are tight in Vegas. Sound carries. He had to know that you were going to hear him.
Right.
So he obviously wasn't very intelligent to be saying that. Or it was not lack of intellect. It was just him trying to be cool and be funny, which means that he doesn't think he's cool or funny. So he has to try.
Right.
So if we can anchor into this has nothing to do with me and everything to do with that person, over time we can start to say, why do I continue to select that interpretation?
Right. I think for a long time, I feel like in my head, I would tell myself, why do I have to explain away other people's actions to feel better about myself or to feel something else? It's not fair that I have to give them excuses when they did something I perceived as shitty. Mm-hmm. And it would frustrate me because I'm like, why am I defending you? It felt like a defense. It felt like I was giving them an out. And I don't think people should be let off the hook so easily. But then over time, I realized every time I try to fight myself on like allowing someone to be even defended in my own mind, even if I don't think they need defending, all I'm doing is perpetuating my own hurt and anger and fear and whatever feeling I was feeling after that. And I truly gave this person who was sitting in a restaurant on the strip in some random year that I can't even think of, on some random day I can't even think of. Well, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So much power at that point that all I was doing by fighting it was hurting myself.
Yeah.
And that let me do that so I can make myself feel better. Literally stripping the power from the situation, from the person, and giving it back to myself because I'm a well-rounded enough person to think like, maybe there was another reason for him to say that. Maybe he did something else. Or maybe he was just being an asshole and said something mean. But let's accept that for what it is and move past that because what he said that one day does not make you Nicky
exactly. Yeah. And I like what you said about like, you don't want to have to defend people, especially when it was obviously something stupid, something that was not nice, something that he probably wouldn't have said directly to your face, even though you're within earshot, obviously. But what does it feel like to imagine what type of person walks past, hears that, and is not shook?
Right.
What would that be like?
I mean, at this point in time, I don't know that it would hurt me as deeply. But I don't know that I even still like hearing a comment like that. I don't know what that would feel like. I mean, it would feel empowering. Honestly, I don't know that it would feel anything. I would just be like, okay, this guy, you know?
See, and I think that's a testament to how much work you've done. And maybe holding on to that experience is just a part of your personality right now of like, I have to carry this pain with me when you don't. Because obviously if something like that happened the way you're expressing it right now, you would be able to let it go because you realized nothing to do with me.
Right.
That has everything to do with that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like it's all those experiences. We all have these experiences in life that impact you deeply for whatever reason, whether they were big or small. This is just one little instance that really probably shouldn't have had as much bearing. And I know we have much larger problems, much larger issues that happen in our lives, but how we have learned to take all these things and start to compile them.
Yeah.
Like I have a whole folder that I could just like, you know what I mean?
I want you to burn that bitch.
I know. And that's what it is. It's like, I'm trying to start to shred the folder.
Yeah. Shredding the documents.
Right. And get rid of them. But it is wild how long we hold on to things and the things that stick. Cause I guarantee you I've had people say a lot worse.
Here's a funny question. When people tell you you look beautiful and you look healthy and fit, and I know Fish always is like, I love your curves. She's like got the biggest girl crush on you. I mean, your ass is phenomenal, Nicky. The glutes of dreams. When people say that to you, can you absorb it? the way that you absorb offensive things. Look at that. I already know the answer. I already know. And that's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a way to audit yourself.
Right.
Why do we accept people's negative comments and resonate with those? But we're so, I would say, bashful is a word that comes to mind, or just even resistant to harmonizing with the compliments, harmonizing to what somebody says about you. They notice it. Obviously, these are very good friends that are telling you things. They're not blowing smoke. They're not bullshitting. They're being authentic.
Yeah.
They say it all the time. Why can't we absorb that? Well, because there's nothing in resonance with that inside.
Right. So
in order to drown out the belief of what mean people might say, the belief of the lack of self-love, I'm overweight, I'm underweight, I'm a drunk hot mess, I am so bad with money, whatever we are like, we take things personally about. Mm-hmm. Well, we start to drown that out when we believe the opposite of it.
Right. But I mean, I think everyone struggles with accepting compliments or things that.
Not everybody.
Not everyone. You're right. And I think a lot of times it comes down to like, it was like always an ego thing. You can't say that about yourself. You can't say nice things about yourself. Mm-hmm. And then I've come to tell myself, well, my friends are going to tell me nice things because they know I struggle. They know that I feel insecure.
Oh, so you think we're lying?
100%. I would tell Judd all the time. I'd be like, you're just saying that because you're my husband.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I could just say nothing.
True that, Judd. Mic drop.
Right. And he's like, I could just say nothing. And so that also is like me pulling back and saying, how unfair is it that I'm telling my friends what they're feeling, why they're doing something, that they're not doing something for like an altruistic, pure reason, that they just are telling me something because they feel it in themselves, giving me a compliment just because they want to. It's not fair. But like you said, I don't feel it in myself. So hearing you say that does not sink in.
Yeah. That's about as that causes the same reaction as the green bush. You're like, are you okay?
Right.
Because if you see that in me, I think you're crazy.
Right.
You have to believe it. And there's a wall. And I talk about this with clients. We've talked about this before. There's obvious shifts that you've made, but there's no magic like snap of the finger that helps you believe other than you just saying, I believe this about myself now. I believe that I'm healthy. I believe that I'm fit. I believe that I'm beautiful exactly how I am, my spirit and my body. Like there's a level of belief that only you can tap into. I think that takes repetition, affirmations. You literally have to repeat to yourself. At first it feels like a lie, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm beautiful. I love the way my body looks. I love how healthy I am. I love how fit I am. I love how my friends notice my hard work in the gym and how it shows. That all feels like a lie at first.
For sure.
But if we tell ourselves a lie often enough, it becomes the truth and we start to believe that. And so then when our friends compliment us, we say, thank you. Last episode, you complimented me on being able to literally give compliments and just notice people and what they're doing in their life. You didn't see me go, oh no, girl, I can't do that. That's not really, that took practice because I thought the same thing of like, if I accept a compliment, not only is that something that I don't believe in myself yet, but that means I'm egotistical.
Right.
But no, it just means that you have a healthy self-esteem.
Right.
And that's absolutely necessary.
Right.
Having a healthy self-esteem is not being narcissistic.
Right.
I think our culture kind of makes us fearful of ever being perceived as like a narcissist or big ego.
Right.
But there's a difference. You have to have a healthy ego.
Right. Because you're allowed to believe nice things about yourself.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
You have to.
When people like, it's like we were trained when someone gives you a compliment to say like, oh, no.
Downplay it.
Every time. And I don't know where that came from. I don't know how long ago that started. I don't know when it, and I think it's lessening over time. Like, like newer generations feel like I think they've done some beautiful things with allowing us to like, be like, yeah, I'm kind of
believe
badass.
good things
like,
about
cool.
ourselves.
Yeah, that's, and they, all of them like complimenting each other, and they're all, I don't know what this trend is, but I'm going to sound so old right now.
No.
But like a lot of like younger kids, they're constantly posting pictures of their friends, like, or on Instagram, like they're posting like their friends, like sports poses and just like beautiful pictures of them, like with, you know, like look at them, they look beautiful, like all these nice things.
Celebrating.
Like, when did we were in the MySpace era of like, if I was mad at you that day, you're out of my top 8, bitch.
Yeah.
Like, it was never like, let me give you all the good things. And like, I feel like newer generations are really embracing that.
Yeah.
But I think it's really hard, especially from like our generation prior. Mm-hmm. It feels very uneasy and not socially acceptable to accept nice things about yourself. So then it's easy to be like, oh no.
If you said something really nice to me that was genuine and sincere, and I was like, no, you're crazy.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Kind of shitty.
Yeah.
And also then I would eventually stop, but I also don't want to be that person either where I stop giving compliments. But if you shoot me down, that's honestly why I tried to stop doing it with my husband. Because if I shoot him down every time,
he's going to stop.
What's going to be the drive there? And that's not fair to him either. He's like, okay, why do I have to combat you to make you know that I believe that you're beautiful or wonderful? I love you.
Yeah. When I know that, I mean, I fight Brian on it too. Like, oh, you're just saying that. But when I give a compliment and somebody shoots it down, I get frustrated.
Right.
I'm like, so you're calling me a liar then?
Right.
You're saying that like my eyeballs deceive me?
Right.
That my heart can't feel your good heart? Like you are literally making me feel like I'm bonkers because you don't see what I see, so I must be stupid.
Or that I'm just saying it for shits and gigs because I want to like go out of my way to give you a compliment that I don't mean, that I don't say, take time out of my day to just, you know.
Yeah. You know. So I think, you know, today is about looking at the things you believe other people say about you. Do you believe the good things or the bad things? And that's where you can start to realize what you think about yourself.
Right.
And in this world, there is a very common thread that I keep coming back to. It's like a golden thread within every personal development literature, within every genre of new thought, of philosophy, psychology. It comes down to, do you know yourself? And if all you think about yourself is a bunch of bad shit, you don't truly know yourself because we are all magical creatures. Like, think about our universe, spinning rock in the middle of it. What we have cells in this body. We have the ability to take ideas and move them into form. Like, okay, our physical bodies might look different, and who's to say what's beautiful and what's not? Let me just be a fucking amazing creature on this earth, on the very small blimp of time that I have here. Get to know yourself, and then what other people say to you, you're going to believe what's right and what serves you, and you're going to be able to let go of the rest. If it doesn't serve you, if it doesn't grow you, you can let it go. You can also allow sometimes mean comments to grow you. Mm-hmm. You say like, all right, bet. Like if somebody, back in the day, I've shared this with you. Back in the day, people used to say, pancake butt. Oh, you're so, like I had my little Hooters orange shorts and they were basically falling off of me. And I had people saying, you look like a starving child. You look like you need to eat a burger. My name was literally Pancake. That's what they called me. I let that fuel me, but it wasn't from a very good place in the beginning. It became something that I was very passionate about. I'm so happy they said those things because it fueled my fire. If there's a way to shift and take the painful things that people say about you that resonate with you and shift that into like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna take that as challenge accepted, then that could shape your life in a beautiful way.
Right.
But if every time somebody says something negative to you, you just accept it and you actually start to embody that. And then when somebody compliments you, you're like, no, that couldn't be real. You're letting the outside control you. You're giving power to the D-bag that was relating to his kids by bullying.
Right.
You know, and as we close, I kind of want to, this could be a whole nother episode, but as you were talking, Nikki, it also made me think about how it's not necessarily what people say to us. It could also be life experiences.
Right.
Life experiences that mimic our personal beliefs to where we're like, yep, I'm just, for me, my personal belief of being stupid or like everybody leaves me, everybody abandons me. every once in a while, I'll have a Magnify client that for whatever reason, they have to maybe step away for a month. Or maybe we're talking and they're about to sign on and I'm so excited because I know their story and I know how I can impact. And then they say, never mind. They go a different route.
Yeah.
That circumstance sometimes resonates with this feeling in my soul of, I can never do anything right. I'm stupid. People don't need my help. People don't want me.
Right.
People don't want me around.
Yeah.
And then if I have clients that are doing very well and they're like, I'm so grateful for you, I can very easily just be like, oh, good. Well, they're fine. But like my entire mind is consumed by this experience that resonates. Green bush phenomena resonates with something inside of me that I believe.
Right.
I believe that as hard as I try, the world isn't listening, that I'm not making an impact, that I'm not truly helping people, that I'm invisible. Like all of these little things that I'm working on, sometimes experiences can trigger those.
Right.
But here's the thing. Every time I've looked back at that, I've realized it had nothing to do with me. It was the client that needed to take time off to save up money.
Right.
The client that needed to take time off for their family.
Yeah.
The client that needed to do something else. It had nothing to do with me. Now, if they came forward and they're like, look, your coaching is fucking horrible. I need to take some accountability and fix my shit.
Right.
But typically what other people are doing has nothing to do with you. So if it's an experience, I've had clients recently also, like a few clients work at the same place. That place, the entire place shut down.
Oh, wow.
Same week, another client lost 2 contracts. All of these things have felt very unfair. Life circumstances sometimes unravel this way. Mm-hmm. And it's not what happens, it's what happens and how we feel about it. How we feel about it is going to be resonant of like what I believe. If I believe I'm easy to abandon, then I'm going to see this loss of contracts as my fault.
Right.
And I'm never going to get them back. This isn't making space for something new. This is just proof and evidence that I'm a failure.
Right.
If I have an internal issue of everything for me never works out, nothing for me ever works out, then I'm going to see my company shutting down as my fault. Could have had probably had nothing to do with you, but had to do with the executive, the board, the finances, those things. So letting those things go and saying, how is this happening for me, can also help when it's an experience that's triggering that green bush phenomenon.
Right. And also remembering sometimes things hit differently when we're going through periods of time where there could be a day where, someone hates my purple hair, right? And I'm feeling really fly with my purple hair. I don't know why I said fly, because
I love it.
I just keep aging myself even more and more. But it doesn't hit at all. And then there's another day where it's really, I feel like I look stupid. I feel outlandish. And someone says something and it hits harder. Mm-hmm. I guess small comparison to say, there are times in your life when things are going to hurt more about one topic versus another. Mm-hmm. But if we work through them at the time and remembering that whatever's happening had maybe no bearing on us or it didn't happen because of us or whatever the case is, like if we actually work through the scenario at that time, I think that alleviates that in the future.
Definitely.
The reoccurrence, I guess, of the thing that might hurt.
I love that you said handle it in the moment.
Yeah.
Like don't drag that shit around.
Right.
You got to handle it when those emotions are heightened, when it's actually triggered in that moment, so that it doesn't just cast into like shade into every other experience. And
because someone losing their job or contracts at one time, you could take that and drag that years into the future thinking, okay, that's going to happen every time. Why even go through all of this again? It's going to be the same result. Or you could deal with it now and then, hopefully in the future it doesn't happen again. But if it does, it's not going to sink as deep.
You're not going to take it personally.
Right.
Yeah. I think kind of at the base of all that is like, there's times where we take things super personally and there's times where we can detach ourselves from the scenario and say, I can see that's on somebody else, or that's something that happened in the world that I happened to be a part of, but it didn't really have anything to do with me or my capabilities, my talent, my potential. There's times where we take it very personally and times when we don't. start to notice, and that's actually going to be your exercise for the week. Start to journal, start to take note of what is your daily structure like when you are taking things very personally. That is about all you have control over, because I know there's other things that are affected, like right now, the political environment, the elections, everything happening. I think our society right now is just on edge a little bit. And then that moon thing that was happening, like we're all a little bit on edge.
Yeah.
But what you control is what I notice really what affects if I take something personally and I make it all about me, or if I realize I'm just a bystander in this and I'll make it through this and I'll be fine and this has nothing to say about my potential. It's, did I do my shit that day? Mm-hmm. Did I show up to love myself? Did I take time to put myself in a healthy mindset? Did I go for my walk? These aren't things that I always do every single day, but there are a list of things: gym time, sauna, walk, breath work, listening to, I literally just open up YouTube. I look up Earl Nightingale, Bob Proctor, Abraham Hicks, Maxwell Maltz, all of these teachers, leaders, sometimes even Andrew Tate, because he talks like discipline, motivation, kind of more masculine energy. And sometimes I need that. So that's one of my passive activities for self-love, is just listening to audios, program my mind to feel better. And when I do these things, these routines, I take care of myself so I don't take things personally. And especially in times where our whole world just feels off kilter, double down on those routines, double down on that. But start to take notice. If you are starting to have a heavy day, maybe it's a heavy week, notice your routines, notice your thoughts. Are you agreeing with every hurtful thing that people say? Are you agreeing with every doomsday thought that people are projecting? Are you agreeing with everything that somebody else says? Or can you start to believe in new things yourself? Start to take that audit, use your handy dandy journal. Let me know how it goes. Leave a comment. If you notice on days you take things personally, these are common denominators. This is the golden thread. It's the days that I hit snooze and I wake up late and I just rush out and I give everybody else my time and I have no boundaries for my time, and all of these things start to really stack up. Some other passive activities I wanted to mention: affirmations. We talked about that. You've got to repeat the belief that you want about yourself instead of the belief that sometimes other people trigger us to put on repeat. Like, I'm overweight, I'm underweight, I'm pancake butt. The more I gave that energy for a while, the more I just did things that
resonated with pancake butt.
Yeah, exactly. Don't eat and just drink alcohol and don't sleep and don't build muscle. Don't go to the gym. It's wild, you guys. Okay, so that's the weekly activity. Thank you for being here. Please share this episode with a loved one. Share it on the IG, the TikTok, whatever you can do to get the word out, spread the gospel. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Nicky. Is there anything else you want to add before we hang out and get off here?
I don't think so. I think another one I loved, and I like the topic, and I like really deep diving into this one because it really just, every time I hear it, it sets something new in motion for me. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
My heart feels good. Like when we have these conversations, this is just like a replication of what we talk about when we're like, hey girl, can I call you real quick? And we're like, well, the green bush phenomenon, so get yourself that friend. That's the other weekly exercise.
Yes.
Think about that friend, that person that you can have these heart to hearts with. Cause literally we're going to walk out of here. We're going to go get lunch. I feel so good.
Yeah.
Somebody could call me stupid there. Somebody could call me pancake there. And I know that I'm going to just be able to say, you know what? That has nothing to do with me. Peace out.
And I'll give them a little.
Yeah. Nicky's just going to punch him. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Nicky. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. Reach out on Instagram at Magnify Maggie. Email me. I'm here. If you have a topic request, if you start to notice some things coming up for you that you want me to cover here on the Unsoberly Sober Show, please reach out. I am here. And until next week, remember, you are free. You are powerful. You are one badass mofo. Think different, to drink different, or never again. It all goes down in the mind. See you soon. It means the entire world to me that you have been here with me, letting me share my experiences and hopefully helping open your eyes to a bright, beautiful life ahead of you as well. So if you are loving this show, please, please, please subscribe, like, comment, and especially share this with somebody that might be in need. Please help get the word out. Word of mouth is so important. And I know that you're somebody special who can help me in this mission for thinking differently in order to drink differently or never again. Make sure you reach out if you have any questions you want discussed on the podcast. I'm here for it. So I'll talk to you soon. Signing out, Magnify Maggie.